Spontaneous speaking video 72. What's up, everyone? So I'm at Jamila's family's house, my family now, but Jamila's family's house for Thanksgiving week, and I actually have video coming up. I just got back from the profiler training event in LA last week with Personality Hacker. It was great, and I'm gonna make a whole video on that as well. I'm waiting for one specific picture to be posted, and then I can execute my plan, my public plan. But in the meantime, I wanted to share an insight. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and last night, I was talking to Jamila's mother, for context, ENTJ, and she was talking to me about furniture in the house. And we were just talking, about like how like looking around their place and everything, it's beautiful. And she was telling me how like for 20 years in her marriage, she did not purchase furniture. And she said this is because she was planning what she wanted her her house to look like. She was already like planning all of that, and she was gathering the money for it and everything. She was really like she had like a long-term plan for it, and now it looks exactly like how she pretty much wanted it to look like. Um, and one thing that she said in particular struck out to me. She said that a lot of people like nice things, and she said I also like nice things, isn't her. She was like, I really like nice things too, but I think that there's a difference between nice and quality. Um, People who usually like just nice things, they will have new things next year. So it's nice right now, but then next year they'll switch them around. Next year it'll be something different. And those are also nice things, but quality means that it's gonna last for the long term. I was like, whoa, here we are talking about furniture, but look at where this just led to. Because all of a sudden, like, my mind just started racing. Because I wasn't thinking about furniture at that point any longer. I was thinking to my main thing, which is, as you guys would know, like relationships. And last year, either the beginning of this year or last year, either way, I think I've been doing better and better each time. One of the main things that I've been trying to focus on is quality over quantity, and all situations. That means, in relationships, especially, in the the jobs that I have, whatever that I'm dealing with, I want it to be quality over quantity. And now, yesterday, that just added like more nuance to the way that I see the word quality. Quality is lasting. Quality is irreplaceable. Quality is it may have taken longer to get to, but then once you have it, you're not letting go of it. And when Miss Jackie was talking to me about the furniture and everything, and how it took her like 20 years to come up with this, and like to get what she wanted, then it's like, wow, like this is hard, but like she built towards it, and now she's happy, and she's had this place for as long as she likes. The wallpaper. I don't want to like give you guys like a tour of their place and stuff, but everything is set up the way that she wants it to be. You can even see like the curtains in the background and all of that. She said that she chose the colors of the walls, everything. She had it all planned out in her head, and then she executed it, and she didn't want to change it. She likes it the way that it is now because she had refined her thoughts. She executed the vision that she had with it, and boom. And I feel like when we apply this to relationships, that's a whole other thing to fillet out. As you guys have been probably seeing in my channel, it's not a surprise that the main thing that I talk about is relationships. The main thing that I talk about is like how should we be treating each other. The main thing that I talk about is how to have better relationships with people, and how to protect yourself, how to set certain boundaries and all of that. And this is all stuff that I've been learning along my journey. I'm deciding to, just to like share my thoughts with you. But applying it to what Miss Jackie said yesterday, I feel like a lot of people may not look for quality relationships for whatever reasons, and the reasons may vary. But I believe that a lot of people usually are either looking for quantity in relationships, like how many friends do I have, how big is my squad, and stuff like that, which isn't always bad. But like I said, you never want to spread yourself too thin. I think that a lot of people also, they just look for nice relationships. So you'll have a really good friend, you'll have a really nice friend, you'll have a really nice relationship, either romantically or platonically. But then by next year around this time, they have a whole different set of friends. And it just keeps on happening. It just keeps on happening. It's like, you can look at, and that can even be a whole other subject to like dive into. Like, are you really just evolving that fast to the point where those friends cannot keep up? And then that would go into another thing where it's like, okay, well then why do you keep on choosing friends who aren't trying to evolve with you? Why can't you surround yourself with people who are evolving with you so they can keep up with you, and keep going with you? Because now you're just stuck with nice relationships and they're only there for seasons, seasonal relationship, but you're not really having like that long-term quality relationship where it can go along with you. It's durable. It can take the blows and the hits that you'll be receiving in life, and in fact, it could even that relationship can even protect you from a lot of them as guys just go together. I feel like that's the kind of relationships that I look for. One of the things that I spoke about with a few friends at the profiler training event in LA was, and it's getting really dark now. Give me a second. Cool. So, one of the things that we were talking about at the profiler training event in LA, I was with an ENTP, an ENFP, an INTJ, and an ENTJ. And we were all talking. Am I missing one? I feel like I am, but maybe not. We were all talking, and as we were speaking about some things, I'm trying to see which parts like necessary to say and which parts are not. Long story short, somehow we got to the topic of I was the only ENFJ at the profiler training event. I was also the youngest person there, so that was cool. I didn't even know I was the youngest until like later on. I was like, oh wow, well that explains a lot. Oh shoot, you're 32. What, you have kids? But one thing that I made clear was that I feel like in me and Jamila's relationship, big example, I told her that if I was a buffet, then I feel like and the buffet was like all sold out to her. She can come in and then she could eat, like 2 or 3 plates of food. And then she's full, she's satisfied. Once again, we're metaphorically speaking. She's full and she's satisfied. But then there's so much food left over. And it's not that I'm dissatisfied with, only her being there. But it's like, well, with all of this food left over, since you're satisfied, it won't hurt you if I invite some other people who will actually appreciate the food. Not just anyone into this buffet, but people who will actually appreciate it and who will also be satisfied. And then I took that analogy even further with Jamila. And I said, think about a palace. Well, first, I talked about the cruise ship that we were on for our honeymoon. And it was huge. That was the first cruise that we've ever been on. It was humongous. And I was like, imagine if we had that whole thing to ourselves. Would we really be happy? Or not that we wouldn't be happy, but like, it would just be like unnecessary, I personally would be like, well, I feel like other people should join in on this because it's so big. Like, why do we have all of this just to ourselves? You know, and so and if we invite other people who would actually appreciate it, they wouldn't get in the way. Stuff like that. So I'm really trying to find the places where I'm going to leave it for the Gems I'll Ask and Tell series and other stuff. But essentially, if my mind was a palace, that's kind of how it would look like. It would be this huge place where only quality people are able to come into. At one point, the place was open and receptive to many different people. And then over time and time again, I saw that the damage that was being done inside was very traumatic. People coming in and just not intentionally, but kind of like knocking vases over and touching the art and breaking them by mistake, or looking at valuables and then being like, eh. And it's like, well, I don't want you to be in here if it's not going to be something great. It's almost like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. He didn't want just anyone to come in there. If you didn't look at his everlasting gobstopper and think it to be the richest, most brilliant idea ever, then it's like, well, then I understand your perspective, but then why are you here? Not that he believed that it was objectively just magnificent, but he only wanted people who believed that it was, who shared in that perspective, to be there. And so that being said, I'm trying to bring it from down the abstract ladder now. With me, I feel like this palace, everything that's inside it, all of the riches inside are from my and I. It's all the stuff that I've taken the time to think, to build, and to really just absorb the stuff that I've gone out into the external world and gathered and brought into my internal world, and I've processed and I've refined and stuff like that. And if I feel like okay, spontaneous speaking video, right? You guys watch me process these thoughts. So Jamila is already living in this palace. She has the best bedroom there and all of that. And me and her have already talked about all of this, so I'm not like throwing her under the bus or anything. But yeah, there's a lot of rooms that she hasn't, really visited. And it's not that she is just adverse to visiting them. It's just that she's just never crossed paths with those rooms, or if she sees them, it's like, oh, that's nice, but it's not as interesting to her. She'd rather spend time in other rooms instead, and that's totally fine. But I have riches in those rooms too, that I feel like other people, maybe since she wouldn't, would enjoy them, and for that reason, I would invite other people there. So if there's really silly example, Pokemon room. Jamila's not interested in Pokemon, not nearly as much as I am, and especially since it's a very rich part of my childhood and all of that. I would, and if she's not interested in it as much, I don't want to force her to go into that room, and I'm not going to be bitter about her going into that room. But I do know there's a lot of riches in there that I would like for somebody to be able to appreciate. So then, what do? Instead of allowing cobwebs to form in that room, I'll find somebody else who would actually really appreciate that, as well as many of the other places. It's not like you can't just come into the palace and be only interested in that room. It has to be like a series of other things. So then you come in, so I can go to David, for example, and David is very interested in Pokemon as well. So then that's the place where we could geek out, and him and Jamila would probably rarely cross paths. He'll rarely be in her way because the rooms that he's going to are different from the rooms that she's going to and everything, and that's okay. So essentially, I'm able to withhold more people than maybe the average person would. And I believe maybe that's because I'm an FE dominant, maybe it's because of other things. Probably FE dominants don't even relate to that. But essentially, I want quality relationships. And that means, and I also took the analogy as far as to say, I feel like other people, instead of a palace, they have only room for few people. And so that could be a room, like, they could have like a condominium, or they could have an apartment, or they could have a tent, like they only have room for like one person there, and that's all that they really need. But for me, I have a palace where I could fit more people, but I want fewer people. I want the huge palace because I want to store it. I want to store it away with a whole bunch of riches, but I only have a few people there because I used to have so many people come in and they destroyed things, and now it's like, okay, now I have to, and I didn't know that they were seeing it as an amusement park and said like, oh cool, this is fun or whatever, or that's all right, but it's not all that, and then they just leave and then they don't come back, and it's like, oh wait, I thought that you were coming to live here, so clearly friendship is like very close to me, and I understand how like not everybody thinks that way, and that doesn't mean they're toxic. I made a video about like how people see other people as like toxic, but it's like, no, we just have to understand what we may need in a relationship is not what another person may need. That doesn't always mean that person is toxic. It doesn't even mean that you may be toxic. We just have different needs, and we must be aware of those needs. So I'm somebody who needs quality friendships, and what that means is lasting. Not nice. I don't want nice friendships. Or if I am going to have them, I can have it, but they will stay outside the palace because only the quality friendships can be in that palace. And the way that you get into the palace, well, that's I can't tell you that now, can I? Those who are meant to get in will get in. But yeah, that's just something that I've just been ruminating on since yesterday. Thought that I would share with you guys. And I guess my whole point of this video is to think about that difference between nice and quality. Are you just changing all the time, Are you just switching between relationships like every year? Are you the common denominator behind that? Or is it because of you don't know how to set roots down? Or are you looking for quality relationships that'll be lasting? Are you spreading yourself too thin? Are you keeping yourself away from people, Are you locking yourself away? And you have this self-fulfilling prophecy that's perpetuatingly keeping you from having relationships with other people who would be great for you, but because you're assuming like, oh, well, they're all going to leave anyway, so I may as well not have a relationship with you. You're just going to leave, because then that thought in and of itself will bleed out into your actions, and then your actions will impact that relationship, and then you'll have that self-fulfilling prophecy where the person may catch that and then end up being like, you know what, why am I even trying, because I'm never going to get in there anyway, and they'll stop. And then now it's like, oh, I knew they were never going to be my friend, or I knew they were going to leave. But maybe if you had, actually gave them the chance, like a stronger chance, and had faith in them, they probably wouldn't have left. You never know. And I have my own tactics on that as well. But that, you're going to have to be a client, like one of my coaching clients, for those type of secrets. And that's something for, once again, another day. But what do you guys think about that? Nice versus quality. And what types of things do you guys have where you can compare nice versus quality? I put it to relationships. But, what other ways do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, anything that you want me to clarify, even disagreements. Respectfully, just let me know. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone. done.